Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And today I want to focus on the administrative compliance for your LLCs. Now, one of the, and I think the most attractive thing about the LLC is that it offers lots and lots of flexibility when it comes down to business structure, and which is absolutely awesome because you get the benefit of liability protection as well as, the pass-through benefit, but you also have the opportunity to completely separate yourself from the business. And so that is why the LLC is so attractive, because you can do so much with it. But usually when people are talking about the flexibility of an LLC, the focus is on the tax part, and there's really no focus or anything on the administration. So I want to talk about that because the compliance part, the administrative compliance part, also plays a big part in this. And a lot of times people look at the tax professional and at tax time and say, why didn't you tell me I had to do X? Why didn't you tell me I had to do Y? And the truth is that you as a business owner, selected whatever structure you have. And so it's your job to know what the administrative requirements are. It's not our job as tax professionals to read your mind to know whether you know or not. It's your job as the business owner to know, especially if you made this decision on your own and you didn't consult with anybody. Okay. So that's just my tidbit on that. All right. So like I said, a lot of times when we're talking about differing business structures, we focus on the tax part, and we usually just focus on the federal tax part. Nobody and I think it's difficult, especially with doing videos like this, there's no way to focus on states because there's 50 different states and 50 different sets of rules when it comes down to compliance. So you have to focus on what your state compliance is versus just, watching a video like this where, we can't give you specific information to your state because we don't know which state you're from. Okay, that's it. All right. So first, we have the single member LLC. Okay, this is an LLC with just one member. All right, for tax purposes, it's treated like a sole proprietor. So going from a sole proprietor to a single member LLC, it provides liability protection. There is no tax benefit from going from a single member, from a sole proprietor to a single member LLC. Your taxes are gonna look exactly the same. Okay. So with that, each state generally has annual reporting and an annual fee that you have to pay. And again, the annual fees vary from state to state. Now, your annual fee, don't confuse that with an annual tax, right? Because there are some states that have minimum tax requirements for LLCs. And so that annual filing fee and then the minimum tax are two totally different things. So as a tax professional, I can tell you, hey, you owe this tax to your state, but I can't tell you if you have paid your annual fee or if you've done your annual reporting. That is an administrative function, not a tax function. Okay. But by and large, the single member LLC has the least stringent requirements when it comes to reporting. Okay. So even with a multi-member LLC, that is treated like a partnership. Now, the difference is that you're filing a partnership return, a 1065, and you're no longer filing a Schedule C return like a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. So when people jump out here and say, ooh, I have formed this multi-member LLC, the first question I ask is, do you understand that you just formed a partnership? And a lot of times people don't get that, okay? They think, oh, I'm just a part of this multi-member LLC, but this person's in charge, so we're going to file it on their tax return. Not how that works. Again, you got to know the rules before you go and do stuff, all right? So, but again, even with a multi-member LLC, the reporting requirements is still not that stringent. There's still that annual reporting. There's still that annual fee. And then you also, if you add a member to your multi-member LLC, or if you remove a member from your multi-member LLC, then you have to, make that amendment. That's what it's called. You amend your LLC, and you do that with your state. Now, if you're going from a 2-member, multi-member LLC down to 1, that's a whole nother ball of wax. It is really not that simple, because it may require that last remaining member to get a new tax ID number and essentially start over. Okay. Again, this is administrative stuff. This is not tax stuff. All right. Then with the S Corp. So with your LLC, you have the ability to elect S Corp treatment or elect C Corp treatment. And people, again, sometimes go and do this stuff all willy-nilly because of something that they heard and really don't have all of the information. And I will again warn you, I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch, whether they're mine, there are other tax professionals out there. You can watch every freaking YouTube video on YouTube about electing S corporation and C corporation treatment. It is not going to be complete information for you. You really need to consult with a professional before making this decision. Okay, now with that out the way. So with the S Corp, when you elect S Corp treatment or even C Corp treatment, understand that you are required to follow the rules for that entity as if you started that entity from the beginning. All right. So if you elect S Corp treatment, that means that you, the owner of the S Corp, have to be an employee of the business. That means you have to put yourself on payroll. That means that you have to submit employment taxes. And unless your tax professional that you get your annual taxes done manages your payroll and your payroll taxes, that is not your annual tax professional's job. That is the payroll person, whoever does your payroll. And people, sometimes people outsource their payroll. That's fine, but that's their job. That is not our job as tax professionals when we're filing your annual taxes. So don't come to us saying you didn't send my employment taxes or you didn't tell me, because again, you didn't ask us about this electing S Corp treatment. We can't read your minds with what you know and what you don't know. Okay. So employment tax is a completely different animal than income tax. Okay. I hope I made that clear. But also with your S Corp, you have to have, you have one grade of stock, and you got to start with a certain number of stock. And if you have shareholders, you gotta give them stock, right? You have to know how much of your stock that you have given to that is, again, an administrative function. So if you are not ready to outsource these things to people whose job it is to know how to manage stock and payroll and employment tax and all that, you need to not. It's not just about federal income tax. It's about everything, right? The compliance part. Because even then, you still have your annual filing with your state. You still have your annual reporting that you have to do. You still have your annual fee that you have to pay. And that is nothing to do with income tax. That is administrative stuff. And if you don't know these rules, this is how you end up in trouble. Okay? And then electing C corporation. Oh, so I saw this post, you guys. This post said that a C corporation is the only business entity that can get its own tax refund. And I saw people lose their darn minds. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go elect C Corp treatment with my LLC. that is just a major face palm. Listen, you have to really shift your thinking especially when you're dealing with C corporations, because C corporations have more government oversight and they have more stringent laws. So for a C corporation, it is federal law for you to file annual reports, financial disclosure reports, and financial statements. You got to have this stuff. You have to have annual meetings with your shareholders and your directors. You have to keep minutes. You have to keep track of people who are voting, even if it's just you who are voting. If it's you and your 3 partners, you got to keep track of who voted for what. You have to keep track of all of this stuff, right? And if you are an owner of the corporation and you are working in the corporation, yes, you still have to be on payroll. No, you do not get to issue yourself a 1099 if you have an S Corp or a C Corp. No. Even though the C Corp offers complete separation from the business and the person. Totally get it. Okay? Absolutely. But that separation, when you're selecting these different types of business entities, you have different goals. Okay. There's different goals, different rules. And so, like I said, this is not something that you just go do this all willy nilly, because the getting out process isn't as easy as getting in. It's just not. And especially when you're talking about a C corporation, because you're not just dealing with the state anymore, you're dealing with the federal government, and you might not be able to just shut your corporation down just because you want to. You might have some outstanding stuff going on. Okay. But again, it's your job as a business owner to know this stuff. This is why you don't go and do this on your own. Listen, you go to these websites and they let you do exactly what you want to do. You say you want to form an LLC. They say, okay, cool. Then you say you want to form a partnership, S Corp, C Corp, whatever. They say, okay, cool. You go and get your whole life, pay us, and you can form this business entity. But they're also assuming that you know what you're getting yourself into. And it's not their job to tell you everything that you need to know. Their job is just to help you form the business entity. It's your job to get the counsel that you need. This is why you hire professionals. Business entities ain't nothing to play with. Right? You can, if you go and start a single member LLC, listen, starting a single member LLC, that's the easiest thing to get out of. When you start getting into these partnerships and getting into S Corps and C Corps, that's when it starts to get a little bit more convoluted. This is why you need to have structured things in place. You need to have your bookkeeping in place, balance sheets, tracking basis, who's got what kind of stocks and shares and all of this stuff. All of that stuff needs to be tracked when you get into these more complex business entities. And you can't do all of that yourself. This is why you have business attorneys. This is why you have enrolled agents. This is why you have CPAs, because it's our jobs to be able to help you with this stuff. But what happens is that, we're in that DIY mentality. We don't want to pay anybody to set up our corporation. We don't want to pay anybody just to talk to us. Let's just forget the fact that this person's going to be smart enough to tell me the pitfalls that's going to save me thousands of dollars later. I don't feel like I should have to pay to talk to you. Well, guess what? You either pay a little bit now or you're going to pay a whole bunch later. And believe me, when you're talking about tax resolution and dealing with the IRS to clear up administrative issues, because you get fined for administrative screw ups too. Listen, it is your job as the business owner to make sure that your taxes get filed on time. It's not our job to call you and say, hey, we need this paperwork. Hey, we need this paperwork. Hey, we need this paperwork. No, that is not our job. We inform you of what we need to file your taxes. If you don't give it to us, we can't file it. So just know, and with these annual reporting fees, why is it so difficult to put this in your calendar to say, hey, I got to pay my state by this date for my annual fee. Put it in your calendar. Google is awesome for that. It's not our job as your tax professional to make sure that you are administratively sound. Do we ask these questions? Yes, we do, because we care about you as a client, but it's not our job. And especially if you don't consult with us before you do stuff. When you consult after, it's generally because you got a letter from the state or the IRS, and then it costs money. It costs a lot of money to fix things. So that's it, you guys. Again, with these business entities and everything, there's a tax concern, but there's also a compliance concern, and lack of compliance can get you in just as much trouble as on the tax end. Okay, so this is why it's not just, okay, I'm going to become an S Corp because I want to try and save on self-employment tax, or I want to become a C Corp because you can get tax refunds with a C Corp. No, it is not that simple. That may not be the right move for you, and you need to talk to professionals in order to help you make that decision. Now, after you've consulted and you make a decision, this on you as the business owner. Okay? So I hope that gives you some food for thought. Thank you so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right, have a great day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.